Hello and welcome back to On The Shelf. So sorry as always, it's been quite a while since my last video, and if you haven't checked that out then I will leave a link now somewhere within this video. But yeah, last video I really tried something a little bit different, and I tried to do something that was like more of an overdub video about how I got into manga collecting, and I really enjoyed that different style of video. So if you did too, then please be sure to let me know and I'll create some more of those in the future. But yeah, there's been a lot going on, personal stuff that I can't really get into, and I don't really want to get into too much on the internet for a start anyway. But for whatever reason, I haven't been creating content like I would like to, and for that I apologise. But just know that, you know, this channel isn't dead. There will still be content being put out as and when I kind of get around to it. So as always, for me personally, I find the best way to kind of get out of my creative slump is to put out a manga haul, which is what we've got today, but it's more so another episode of What's on the Shelf. So if you're familiar with that, then yes, there is a manga haul involved in this, but I also talk about, you know, video games, a couple of movie recommendations, as well as some of the anime that I've picked up or watched within the last month. And obviously this will be a little bit further back than a month. I think it might be like 2, maybe 3 months. But anyway, needless to say, we have a lot to cover in this episode, so I will finish rambling and let's get straight to it. Kickstart the manga haul. First up, we have 2 series by Junji Ito, and the first one isn't his like latest work, but it's one that I picked up a little bit later, and that is Remina. So this is a really beautiful release. I love these. I eagerly anticipate every new one, and yeah, I think the only one left that I need to pick up is Love Sickness. So looking forward to diving into this very soon, but I'm kind of like saving this just because this is the last one that I actually have, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to get the next one, so I don't want to rush and have no Ito left, so I usually like to binge these. And secondly, the next Ito work that I picked up was The Dissolving Classroom. This was a really fun read. It's rather short, it's a lot shorter than the other releases, so there's not quite as much to dive into here, but it all centres around this young boy and his sister, and some of the demonic things that happen surrounding them, and each one was a new short story involving them. And there were some really creepy ones in this. So we had one where the brother will continuously give girls compliments, but when he does, they get progressively more and more ugly, and some horrific kind of body dysmorphia horror ensues in this. All kinds of stuff. The character design of the sister was particularly creepy in this, and yeah, just a great time. And hopefully I'll be picking up Love Sickness very soon as well. Now moving on, we have a very different series. I picked up volume 3 of Gigant by Hiroya Oku. This is a series that Zach talks about a lot more than I do, because I believe he's up to date with these. I am not. I've only read a bit of volume 1, and I knew that it was enough to make me want to kind of save up these for a rainy day. It centres around a girl who works in the adult film industry, let's say, and she gets the power to become giant. But when she does, all of her clothes disappear, and there's a lot of nudity in this. So yeah, if you're a fan of that sort of manga, then I recommend this. But also, you know, that's not... I don't want to sound really sleazy, but that isn't just the main reason to check out this. It's just another Oku series. He's great with science fiction and creating really bizarre and wacky situations, obviously, and this is no different. And if you enjoy Gantz and Inuyashiki, then I think that you're probably going to enjoy this one as well. Okay, next I have 2 short story collections from very different mangaka. I apologize if I've already spoken about this on Twitter or Instagram and stuff like that, because when I buy things I tend to post about them there first and foremost, but you know, I've not had the chance to vent about these on YouTube, and I really want to give you guys my opinions. So first up, I got Sneeze by Naoki Urasawa. I might have talked about this on the channel before, but last time I hadn't read it, so now I have read it and I have some thoughts. So I love this. I think that short story collections are really great because It lets the mangaka really experiment, and there's some fantastic short stories in this, and it really just highlighted to me how Naoki Urasawa is just a master of his craft and really fantastic at storytelling, because the vast majority of these, I've said it before, I felt like could have been their own series, like they could have been adapted into a further adaptation. I particularly really liked some of the full colour pages, so there were some stories that had just full colour artwork, and this one about two mice trying to steal some food was really cool. It reminded me a little bit of Ratatouille or something like that. You have a really awesome short story that was about a world where kaiju exists, and people will visit Japan as tourists in the hopes that a kaiju battle will ensue and they'll catch a glimpse of their favourite kaiju. I just thought that was a really ingenious idea. You know, so much of this is just wonderful, and of course the cover is just beautiful. This was a fantastic release, and I hope we get more along the lines of this in the near future. And then next I got, if you remember from my previous What's on the Shelf, I'd picked up Emerald by Hiroaki Samura, which was a short story collection, and I managed to get hold of the other one called Ohikoshi. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but this is a short story collection put out by Dark Horse in a single volume from the creator of Blade of the Immortal, and it follows Hiroaki Samura's modern era romantic comedies. So this is really intriguing. I haven't had a chance to read this yet. I just put it straight in a bag because I feel like this will be worth something in future. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Hiroaki Samura, for me, I associate very closely to action manga. You know, Daiwa Gelder is criminally underrated, please go and read that, but that is a hugely insane action manga with a lot of mystery and lots of different interesting characters. And then Blade of the Immortal is more of a period fantasy series about samurai, and you know, I'm just so used to reading his action series that I'm really keen to see how well he fares with a different change of pace. And I know that there's another series about a radio presenter and stuff like that, and that is very different again for that creator. Sadly, I haven't read that yet, and it's on my list of things to pick up. But yeah, I'm a big fan of short stories. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I really find them very interesting, and even if they don't always work, it's quite cool to see a mangaka tackle something that's outside of their comfort zone. So look forward to my thoughts on that very soon. I'm sure to tweet about it or put it on Instagram or something like that, or maybe even on the channel as well. Then we have something that's like a staple in my collection. We got another Shuzo Ashimi work, so I managed to find volume 7 of Inside Mari. This was something that I'd asked about months and months ago at my local Waterstones. They told me there were no copies and it was on pre-order. And then out of the blue, I got a message on Instagram telling me that it had come in stock, and it wasn't on general sale on Amazon. So I felt quite lucky to be able to read this, and I can just say, you know, it's Ashimi, it's amazing. This is probably one of my most favoured of his series at the minute, as well as Blood on the Tracks, just because the amount of mystery surrounding the characters. Is a body swap manga, so it's kind of like a different take on a Freaky Friday story, but with a twist, and it's a little bit dark, it's a little bit sinister at times, and there's some really great moments in this. This was more of a intermediate volume, I might say. The main character that's inside Mari is trying to kind of reclaim some lost memories, but it was still really good. And of course the art style in this is just absolutely amazing. I love Ashimi and can't wait for that art book to arrive whenever that finally does turn up. Next, very quickly, I just want to show off a couple of things that I picked up. I haven't read all of this yet, but I've read a lot of it, so I have quite a few thoughts, but I'm trying to kind of finish it off so that I can do a review in the near future. But I actually managed to get the reprints of Message to Adolf by Osamu Tezuka. Can't remember if I have shown these again on the channel. I'm losing track of what I've said I bought and what I haven't, but yeah, I've read all of volume 1, if you can call it volume 1, it's huge. And I'm part way through volume 2. These are beautiful releases for a start, and as someone who hasn't read any Tezuka before, I thought these were a great jumping off point because I'm massively into kind of like World War II history and things like that, and I thought that this might be a nice fit for me. My initial thoughts were that I wasn't going to be too much of a fan of Tezuka's artwork because it's a little bit dated, but it's actually very charming and it works very well with the story because at the same time, you know, it's such a dark and twisted story and a lot of serious themes going on, but then you have a little bit more of a light-hearted art style and it just goes very well. A lot better than I actually anticipated it would. The one thing that I will say is that it's very dated. There's a lot of stuff and opinions and kind of character attitudes in this manga that seem very dated. I will discuss this further in detail when that review video does finally come out, but what I will say is I'm enjoying it quite a lot, although it's been a little bit of a slow burn in the final volume just because I needed a break from some of the heavy themes that were going on. Speaking of series that have given me a well-needed break from the monotony of manga, I managed to get all of the first 5 volumes of Chainsaw Man. These were ridiculously difficult to get hold of. I think that the current state of like manga at the minute and the industry and how it works and the way in which they print things is becoming increasingly frustrating. People are pre-ordering and having their pre-orders pushed back, which in itself is just ridiculous because I thought the whole point was so that they could make enough copies, but it seems that, you know, maybe we'll discuss this later, but it seems there's a lot of things going on that are hindering manga fans, at least in the UK, from getting hold of copies of stuff. So I managed to get the first 3 volumes of Chainsaw Man at a local comic book store called Page 45. Big shout out to them. Thanks so much for helping me get those. It was really hard to come across. And then I found Volume 5 online and Volume 4 also at Page 45 when I had a random trip to town, and it was just such a struggle. I think Volume 3 came in first and then we got Volume 1 later on, and you don't want to start until you've got all of them. And what can I say, you know, it didn't disappoint. I absolutely love this. I think it's my new favourite shonen series alongside One Punch Man and Black Clover. It's difficult to believe that it is shonen just because of some of the things that go on in this series. It's super violent, there's loads of really odd characters, there's quite a few sudden deaths in there that I was a bit shocked with as well, you know, that really took me by surprise. And I feel like I'm just at the point where it's really ramping up and I can't wait for Volume 6 to come out. So yeah, absolutely love Chainsaw Man. I completely binged it. Big fan of the weird shark demon character as well. I hope he's in it a lot more. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. I think if you're a fan of that, then I would recommend you go and check out Fire Punch as well. Talked about that on the channel a lot. And this to me might just overtake Fire Punch depending on the ending. So we have a couple of things left on the manga haul and then we'll get into all the other stuff as well. First being, I've spoke about this a long time ago, but it's kind of something that I think is really cool and I want to kind of bring back to everyone's attention because there is going to be an English release of this very soon. So long time ago, I picked up Real by Takahiko Inoue on eBay, and the seller sent me Buzzer Beater in these full colour Japanese editions, and the artwork in this is absolutely beautiful, albeit very different to Inoue's usual fine line style. It started as a webcomic, and of course it's about basketball. He absolutely loves basketball, you know, it's the creator of Slam Dunk, and Real is also about wheelchair basketball, and this was just something that I'd not anticipated getting in any form, but I was super happy that the seller threw it in for free. There's going to be a digital release. I'll find out where from. I will find out on Twitter and I will leave it down below in the description if you're interested. But this is something, yeah, that I think people will be talking about very soon. And I've actually started a little project. Probably a little bit late now considering there is going to be an English translation, but I started to do little post-it notes and do a self-translation for the series. So these, don't worry, they're not going to damage the page. They're these little tabs that they don't rip, they're not adhesive enough to destroy pages, and the pen I used, I was very careful not to use one that would smudge, but I'm starting to slowly but surely translate this myself so that it's something that I can actually read physically, which is quite nice. Now moving on to the final part of the manga haul, this was a big one, and it's something that, again, I might have talked about on the channel, and I've definitely mentioned the series before on the channel, but I made it my mission this year to collect a particularly rare manga series from Dark Horse. I had the first 3 volumes, and then I managed to get the 4th one a while back, and I've put these on eBay about 3 times, so I kind of lost hope that we were ever going to get a reprint. I got really frustrated because I didn't want them on my shelves without being able to read the whole thing, and I listed them to sell on eBay 3 times, and thankfully they never sold. Now, with a little help from a friend on Twitter, as well as a few people on Instagram letting me know about random volumes, as well as harassing every single Forbidden Planet that I could on Instagram, I managed to track down every single volume of I'm a Hero. So super happy to own this now finally, and I've started reading it. I finished volume 4 yesterday, and it's just as brilliant as I thought it would be. There's some full colour pages in this, so really great artwork, really kind of creepy, different types of zombies in this. So yeah, if you didn't know, it's a zombie survival series, but it's very much based around a non-stereotypical main character. So our main character is actually a bit of an otaku, he's a mangaka, he's a little bit weird and a bit socially awkward, but he steps up to try and be a hero in this story. And for a lot of people, I think they might find it a little bit slow. There's a lot of build up, and it takes pretty much to the end of the 2nd volume, so the end of like the first omnibus, to really get going into the zombie stuff. There's a lot of preamble. I really enjoyed that. I think that it's a different change of pace. There's something about this series that there's a lot of panels that will literally just focus on the main character. Like there's a point where he's hiding in the woods, and just a lot of screen tones used to make it feel really dark and eerie, but all you can really see is his expressions and him freaking out in the dark as his phone light starts to go out or his torch starts to go out. On a side note as well, the double page spreads in this, when they do happen, are absolutely phenomenal. There was some that I posted again on Instagram, I'll try and find them for this video, where there was a transition at a point where there's a lot of people climbing up to the mountains because they believe it's safe up there, and you can see everyone like in a big fumble trying to get up these stairs and trying to get where they're going, and lots of different characters all in one big mess across 2 pages. And then over the next 2 pages you start to see some of them get bit by zombies, some of them shouting, some of them noticing, and by the 3rd page it's chaos has ensued. There's so much going on, and it was just glorious to read. As I was turning the page, my jaw literally dropped. I just was so amazed by it, and I think it's so criminal that more people can't experience this manga, at least in a printed format. So I really hope, for everyone's sake, that these become more readily available in the future. And yeah, just a fantastic release, albeit the books are a little bit small. They're very high quality, and I thoroughly enjoy it. So when I finish that series, if you would like, I will also create a review video for that, or maybe it will become part of the podcast in the future. Just let me know down below in the comments what sort of format you might like for that. So that about does it for the manga haul, and for obvious reasons I've kind of given myself a bit of a buying ban for the next 2 months, so I'm not planning on picking up anything else unless it's something truly amazing or something that someone brings to my attention that I really need to own. So hopefully, there isn't going to be too much of a hit to my bank account, because some of these volumes I actually, for I'm a Hero, ordered from abroad. I got 2 of them from America and 1 of them from France. So, it was a big struggle to find some of these. Some of them I paid a little bit more than I kind of wanted to as well, but then I did manage to get quite a few in the UK, so that was really lucky. But moving on, as always, this what's on the shelf video style isn't just about manga, because I love lots of different things. I want to talk about some of the anime that I picked up, and there was only really one release that I picked up in the last few months, but it is a very, very beautiful release. So I managed to get the Violet Evergarden Collector's Edition Blu-ray from All the Anime. So this came in obviously a really, really nice outer case. We also got 2 Blu-ray Amaray discs, which I think we just have the Blu-ray and the... No, they're all Blu-ray. I thought it was a Blu-ray and DVD, but no, it's all Blu-ray. I think there's a lot of like bonus features on those maybe. We got some really, really cool additional things. So we got the bonus OVA, episodes 1 to 13, as well as a 156-page art book and some like postcards, some art cards with little stills from the series, as well as some stamps, which was a weird but very nice little extra. And that's kind of what All the Anime are infamous for. They put out these beautiful releases with so much extra stuff in there that's really for like true collectors of the series. Unfortunately, like, my bank account takes a massive hit whenever some of these are released, and I couldn't afford to pick up the movie collector's edition, which they recently dropped as part of an early bird thing. So I'm a little bit sad about that, but maybe at Christmas time that might come back on sale, or I will just get a standard edition release of it. But yeah, really beautiful series. You know, if you've seen anything by Kyoto Animation, then you'll really know what I'm talking about. They're just like the top level of anime. They also, you know, they suffered some pretty horrific things over the last few years with an arson attack that actually killed a lot of people in the studio. So I really wanted to support them wherever possible, but also just because this series is just beautiful. It's one of those really heartfelt and touching series that I'm a massive sucker for. I really love things that will like choke me up a little bit, or you know, cut to the core of me. And I think that this was no exception, and it's beautifully animated. It's all about kind of a service that actually write letters for people, and an individual that struggles with human emotion who gets a job there, and all the things that kind of happen, as well as there's remnants of a war that's happened and some of the fallout of that as well. So really, I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil it, but if you haven't seen Violet Evergarden, I believe it's on Netflix as well, so feel free to go and check it out and let me know your thoughts if you do. Okay, now very briefly, I just want to quickly discuss a couple of video games that I've picked up and played a little bit of in the past couple of months. First being, I know I'm late to the party, but I got Death Stranding, which I'm a massive fan of the Metal Gear Solid series, and this was something that was both critically acclaimed but also very divisive, because some people called it boring, some people called it ingenious and inventive, and it's set in a really weird, mysterious world where I don't even know how to describe it. That's how difficult it is. There's a postal service that's developed because people are all stranded across these different parts of the world and they can't communicate with each other anymore, but also there's been a weird bridge between life and death, as I believe it to be, in that these horrific creatures called BTs have surfaced, and if they come into contact with you, lots of people die and things explode. It's very, very strange. Our main character is played by Norman Reedus, who you might know from The Walking Dead. So he kind of is a delivery man, essentially, and he's trying to reconnect the world and reconnect all of these stranded outposts. Very convoluted and a little bit weird in terms of its story, but I'm very early on with this, and I am enjoying it. I think that it isn't boring. I think, albeit the fact that most of the gameplay very early on just involves walking from A to B, it's very difficult to do that at times, and there are a lot of challenges that kind of happen. The BTs are very sinister creatures because the main character has to hold his breath to sneak around them, so there is an element of stealth, and I really love stealth games as well. So this is one that perhaps some people might be sleeping on just because they're a little bit intimidated by it, or they've heard bad reviews, and I would urge you to at least go and check it out for yourself. I managed to get this for like £12 in the UK pre-owned, so couldn't really pass up the opportunity to just check it out and see what it's about. And also, I tweeted a while ago that I was keen to get into the Resident Evil series. I'd seen a lot about Resident Evil 8. I think it's 8, the newest one. I don't have a PS5 and I didn't want to play it on PS4, so I wanted to know what everyone thought was the kind of gateway to Resident Evil, because I'm a little bit of a wimp with horror games, but just something about this seemed a little bit more cheesy than like standard horror. Like, I played a bit of Dead Space years ago and that scared the absolute shit out of me. I was really keen to just give it another try. I love horror films, so I thought we will give horror games another go. And much to everyone's recommendation, I went and picked up Resident Evil 2, the remake. I'm nearly finished with this. I've finished all of Claire's story first, and then you can do a second run of the game as the other main character, and I'm halfway through Leon's story now. There's a couple of subtle differences, and I might have had to have turned the difficulty down, so don't judge me too much, just to get through the story, because I am such a wimp and there was a lot of difficult parts of this, but I was quite surprised. It's more of a strategy game or like a puzzle game than anything. I mean, it is a horror game. There's zombies, there's weird creatures, and there is a lot of jump scares in this as well. But essentially, you're kind of trapped in a building and you have to get out of that building, and there's a lot of different parts and all different rooms, and you end up going from A to B to Z, you know, left, right, up and down, everywhere across this building to try and find all the mysteries and escape. And it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of really cool things that I enjoyed that they put in there, even though they were only small, like finding a little lock, and when you press the buttons on it, they're like make cool noises that come out of the PlayStation controller. Finding new weapons was fun. Some of the bosses were fun. That crazy tyrant thing that chases you around was just as horrific as I'd heard. Yeah, I'm really loving it. I'm hoping to pick up maybe some more Resident Evil games in the future, now that I know that I can actually get my way through them, even if it is on like the lowest difficulty possible. I'm quite content with that. I don't need to be this macho guy who plays everything on hard mode. I'm just glad to experience the story, and it's a really interesting story. Really a lot of fun, and it's fun as well playing it through a second time round, because there's subtle things that they change between characters. So if you have got this, I would definitely recommend playing it twice. And last but not least, I really want to quickly give 2 film recommendations, just for things that I've watched recently that you might have heard of but not checked out and things like that, or something that I think more people should be watching. So first up, seems really obvious, but I know a lot of people that still haven't got around to watching this, and that is The Father. Anthony Hopkins actually won the Oscar for this, and I think that it was really massively well deserved, because his performance was outstanding, and a lot of this kind of paralleled some of the things that are going on in my life to an extent now as well. So I think it's just a really powerful and moving film that more people should be watching and really appreciating. So it's all about a guy with dementia or Alzheimer's. It's never really kind of explicitly said what he has, but it's all set in one building, one house that this man lives in, so Anthony Hopkins' character lives in. But the interesting thing that the director chose to do for this is he changes the cast. So his daughter will come round to visit him, who's played by Olivia Colman, and then later on in another scene she's replaced by another actress. And the whole idea centering around this is to really show the viewer what it's like to have some sort of disease that affects your memory, and it creates confusion for the character, because you're right in there with Anthony Hopkins' character, and it's really heartbreaking to watch at times, but it's actually a very valuable lesson that more people should kind of experience. The idea being that someone with dementia or Alzheimer's can only really believe in what they see and what they know to be real. So when a different woman comes into his house and claims to be his daughter, that is genuinely distressing for him as it would be for anyone. And yeah, as I said, just a really, really heartbreaking film. Fantastically well done, really, really great ending, and some outstanding performances, not just from Anthony Hopkins, but from everyone involved. And then for a very, very different change of pace, I also last night checked out the brand new Pixar film called Luca. So this was a wonderful film, which is all about, I guess they're kind of like mermaids or sea monsters or something. They're creatures that live under the sea, but when they journey to land, they can transform into people. And our main character, Luca, in a little bit of a Little Mermaid fashion, he wants to journey to the human world just to try and see what is out there and experience what he doesn't know, what's beyond his comprehension. Set in Italy, which was a bit of variety for Disney. They always tend to try and pick a different new location or a new kind of nationality for each of their films, and this one was set in Italy. It was just very charming. It's Disney, it's Pixar. I don't know what else to tell you. There was a lot of like funny moments in this. Sometimes I think the Disney films, just personally for me, that don't have music in them, I enjoy less. But then Pixar have a wonderful way of kind of not having any music in them, and I love all of them. So this definitely stayed on trend. I think the only one of Pixar's films in the past that I've never really connected with that well was Inside Out. On the whole, I would actually put Luca pretty high up there. It's just as good as like the newest one, Soul, I would say, in terms of quality. But yeah, actually, you know, there's been quite a lot of films lately that Disney have put out that you have to pay like an extra fee to watch on Disney Plus. And Luca, it isn't one of those, and for that reason, more people should definitely be checking it out because there isn't that extra barrier of payment that you have to get through. I think it's a bit ridiculous that streaming services ask you to pay extra to watch certain things, especially when some of their other outings, so like Cruella and Raya the Last Dragon, I would say weren't as good as Luca, and they were charging extra for them. And I'm not even going to go into Mulan because I absolutely hated that adaptation. And I think it's becoming more and more apparent lately that Disney aren't always like the gold standard. Not everything that they touch turns to gold, not everything is amazing, but Pixar still set the bar very, very high, and I enjoyed this just as much as I did Soul. So if you can, then please go and check out Luca because I don't think you'll be disappointed. If you made it this far, you know, thanks for sticking it out with me to the end. I really love making these videos. Whatever sort of videos I put out, even if they do very poorly, everything I make I enjoy doing, so hopefully you found some enjoyment in this video as well. I'm looking to put out some more videos very regularly, but I'm not going to promise anything just because life seems to get in the way and it doesn't always sort of work out as I would like to. But I just want to say thanks for all your continued support and for watching this video. As per usual, you guys are awesome. And as always, you know, I will catch you next time. So thanks for watching and stay awesome.